Guys, there is no bigger key to victory for me for LSU when it comes to Clemson than you running the football. I know that you're exhausted talking about this. I know it's been a big contention of conversation. I know that when you're with your friends at the water cooler at work, when you're going to lunch with them, when you're texting your buddies in y'all's LSU group chat, I know that all of you are talking about this offensive line. What you're talking about, and if you follow this closely, you know that LSU was horrendous last year in rushing the football. They were 108th in the country. Everybody keeps saying 107th. NCAA says it was 108th. I will just let you go see it yourself. It was 108th. But 108th rushing offense versus the 85th rushing defense. Guys, the number one thing that you must do, and it's a bottom line fact. We've talked about it ad nauseum, so I won't stay on this one for too long. You got to find a way to run the football or have extensions of the run game. There is no way humanly possible that you are going to go into South Carolina, and I say South Carolina, but go into Clemson, South Carolina, and win if you have performances running the football like you did against A&M, like you did against Florida in the second half, like you did against Ole Miss. I don't think you beat this team, quite honestly, if you have a rushing performance like you did against Ole Miss. You just won't. You're going to have to find ways to extend the run. You're going to have to find ways to get the run game moving. I thought Brian Kelly said something very interesting today in his press conference. He was asked about Garrett Nussmeier and asked, what does he need to do for this team to win on Saturday? The thing that Brian Kelly said first, it wasn't turnovers, it wasn't making good throws, none of that. It wasn't even protections for himself. The first thing that he said is Garrett has got to get us in the right run play. That means that they're going to allow him to check at the line of scrimmage, and guys, Garrett has got to be ready. He has got to check things and move things when numbers benefit him. He's got to. Guys, I think everybody understands in this game that the number one thing that if you win, if LSU has 25 carries for 125 yards, guys, you're going to win it. Bottom line. And if you don't win it, it's going to be very damn close. But you do not stand a chance if this offensive line, who I know that you're replacing 4 dudes, but if they cannot find a way to get push against what everybody finds to be and seems to believe is a really good front seven in Clemson, you will not win. Now, Peter Woods, their interior defensive tackle, last season, when I see him on film, and I suggest if you do not believe me, please go and look at it your own self. He was lazy getting off the football. He was lazy running after ball carriers. And quite honestly, guys, teams like Texas, teams like Louisville, and many others were able to get push on number 11. People in Clemson said, well, he was hurt. Okay, well, we're going to find out. Can those interior offensive linemen be big? Brian Kelly brought up today, it would appear that Paul Mabinga, again per Brian Kelly, so I have no clue, but per Brian Kelly, it would appear that Paul Mabinga is going to start at left guard. There is no bigger player that you have to watch out for than number 65 when he's there. They are going to put Peter Woods on him. They are. And how as early and as often as Mabinga goes with number 11 and Peter Woods, so will your run game. Now, Paul Mabinga has seen some really good interior defensive linemen. It is, of my humble opinion, the first game that he really got playing time in action. He saw the 2 best interior defensive linemen in the game last year, and Caleb Banks and Stewart that got drafted by the Bengals. Those, of my opinion, those were the best 2 interior defensive linemen in the country a season ago, and I think Caleb Banks is the best. And Paul did not have good games. He just didn't. The question becomes, in those situations, now that Paul Mabinga is a year older, now that Paul Mabinga has time underneath his belt, can he find a way to be big here? But Garrett is going to have to get you in the right number plays. If you are in 12 personnel, if you do not have the numbers, get to another run play that can get you yards. Guys, if you're running 3-4 yards a pop, I'm going to be happy as a lark, because when you start getting in 2nd and 6, you start getting in 3rd and 2, I have enough faith that you're going to start converting here. The game hinges on that. I know today we were with our friends over at Service Hawk, and we're doing Q&As from there as the season goes on when we do these special segments. And I asked you this morning, a lot of you on social media this morning, what is the number one thing you're looking out for? And you say the O-line. I agree with you. There is legitimately no bigger feat. None. Guys, it's the worst thing you did a season ago. And you're going to have to find a way. It is of my opinion that if you cannot get this run game going early and you have not fixed it, which we did not see a lot in fall camp, that they had fixed it. Caden Durham is going to have to be massive at getting the ball out of the backfield on some of these quick passes and getting him leaks, getting him some screens, doing things that you can supplement the run game with. Because, guys, quite honestly, just because you don't run the football or can't run the football doesn't mean that you can't have a game plan. There have been very, very many teams, a lot of teams, that quite frankly have had issues running the football early in the season where they were able to supplement that and get things moving. Guys, Leonard Fournette was getting carries in 2019 against Texas with you at LSU. Leonard Fournette, not Leonard, Leonard. And he quit halfway through the season. If you remember early in that 2019 season, you couldn't get things moving early in the run game. So when people were so scared of you throwing the ball deep that they're like, shit, we're just going to give them the run. We're going to give it to them. And things opened up. It brings a part of this, too, that I'm really interested in. If you're able to establish getting vertical early and that you can get vertical early, how light does that box get? Can you protect for Garrett, that we'll talk about next? But the bottom line fact is, guys, if you can't find a way to establish the run, guys, I legitimately don't know if you can win it. I don't think you'll win it. Number one key to victory. My special number is 120. I'm not expecting you to be great. I'm not expecting you to be good. I want you to be average. And guys, averaging 120 rushing yards per game is average, even against this team. Now, Clemson has got to show their damn selves that they can stop the run. They were horrendous in it. Horrendous at stopping the run a season ago. Go take it to their ass. You listen, I'm assuming that you paid Josh Thompson a lot of money to be here. He needs to get his big ass moving, and we got to go mess some people up in the interior. Let's go do it. Number two, let's stay on the offensive line for just a moment. Guys, you got to protect Garrett. Your biggest strength offensively right now, more than likely, is you getting vertical. With speed guys like Chris Hilton, who, guys, knock on wood and knock on fake wood, it would appear that Chris Hilton is fully healthy and ready to go. Brian Kelly stated today that if we had to put out an injury report, which they don't because it's not an SEC game, that nobody would be on there. Thank you, sweet Jesus. Solomon Thomas would be on there, by the way. BK messed up. Maybe some coach speak. Solomon Thomas would be on there. Other than Solomon Thomas, other than him, if what BK is saying is correct, and I believe him to be correct, we'll see. But regardless of all of that, your biggest strength is getting vertical offensively. Gus, you got to give number 18 time. You got to give number 18 time. And I thought that you did exceptionally well. You were top 10 in the country a season ago at not allowing sacks. And you got to give him time so that he has enough time to get to number 3 and get to number 6. You got to give him time to get to Aaron Anderson and Trey'Dez Green. And if you do, I think that you will hit enough passes deep that you can start separating yourself and backing them off of you. But more than anything, you got to protect him because the vertical passing game and Garrett being better at the vertical passing game, none of it amounts to dog diddly if you cannot protect him. Now, in that protection, here's the God's honest truth. Garrett's got to use his legs. He's got to use his legs. I know a lot of you last year, myself included to an extent, oh, Blake, this offensive line, I mean, they're giving up pressure. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. But guys, just because you're giving up pressure doesn't mean that you just sit back there and don't move. Garrett has got to utilize his legs. He's got to. Is Garrett Nussmeier not faster than Peter Woods? I think he is. He's got to be big at stepping up in that pocket and taking a couple of hits early and delivering the ball down the field. Guys, if they see that you're ready to go and that Garrett will run, it will open up so much for you. We were on with Jacques Doucette a couple of weeks ago, and me and Jacques were having a conversation about this exact thing with Garrett. And I told Jacques, like, listen, the quarterback, regardless if he's a profound runner, none of that matters. Garrett is athletic enough, very much athletic enough to take off with his legs and go get you some yardage. And he's going to have to do it. So I understand the protection for him, and the best thing that you may do offensively is getting vertical. But guys, if you can't protect him, Garrett's got to know when to take the sack and live for another down. And he's got to understand, listen, look, man, instead of this roll out right or roll out left and spin move and try to throw off your back foot, step up in that pocket and get yardage. Step up in the pocket and go down. And instead of giving up a sack, let's go 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12. You cannot have these bad plays all over again. They got to protect him first. But there are going to be situations in this game versus this team where you're going to give up pressure. You got to utilize those legs. You must. If you get 4 yards, who gives a damn how much you get? But you got to stay ahead of the chains. You cannot continue to keep backing up and being scared of the pressure. And I'm not saying he is, but you got to step up in there and rifle one down the field. So run game and protection is the number 2 keys to victory that you got to do here. I will add on this in that LSU, I don't want to give like trade secrets here, but it's kind of a known thing. Clemson knows and has talked about all week that you want to get vertical on them. They know it. We know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody understands it. Nobody's going to get fooled by knowing that you want to get vertical. Guys, you got to get Chris Hilton. You got to get Barrion Brown. You got to get Trey'Dez Green. You got to get Aaron Anderson on these situations where they are catching something underneath so that when everybody is going to back out, that you can go and get yardage. I do think that they're going to back out some. I do not foresee a situation where they're going to play up tight against you and say, no, we're going to go bump and run. We're going to go man. We're going to play physical. Maybe they do. And if they do, by all means, go hit Chris Hilton deep. But you got to hit this stuff underneath to make some of this stuff work. I will tell you this, and listen to your boy. It would not shock me early if LSU and Garrett are just tossing the pill early. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And I'm not talking about the burger place. Get your playmakers the ball in space and let them go do what they do. Early. If Garrett has 20 passing attempts in the first half, don't freak out. The attempts don't matter to me in this one. They don't matter for this reason, because I think that you're going to try to get the ball out quickly to your playmakers and let them go make plays. Your wide receiver room has got to be lights out. I'm going to be real with you. Clemson does not believe, based off of what I've listened to their media corps, I've listened to their coaching staff, I've listened to everything that they've done this week in the last 2 weeks. They think that they're going to be able to out-physical your wide receiver room. Go prove them that they can. Go prove to them that they can. Attempts don't matter to me, especially if you're throwing a lot underneath early. Let's stay ahead of these chains here. All right. Another thing before we move on, and some more pieces that maybe we haven't talked about, things that I see. Guys, I'm not going to spend long on this. I know a lot of you hate me for this, but it's the truth. You cannot turn the ball over. Momentum will, in a game like this, can make and break you. Guys, you can hate me all you want to, but this is a truth. If you turn the ball over at the rate that you did a season ago, you will not come out here with a win. You won't. There is no room for error. You can have a pick, you can have a fumble, and still find a way to win this game. Not two of them, not one and the same. You can have one and be like, all right, well, you can't do that again. Guys, the amount that you turn the ball over, the amount that you turned it over last year was abysmal. I say all that to say, if you've watched this show during fall camp, there have been a couple of big things that have stood out to me. I think Garrett's maturity level has risen. I think the level of him pushing himself up in the pocket, taking off and running, taking some stuff underneath, instead of constantly trying to push the ball deep, has benefited him in this offense during fall camp. I think Garrett's gotten a lot better, to be real with you. I think it's been his best camp without a shadow of a doubt. And there are parts of me that believes like, hey, man, I think this kid's ready to roll. Some of the things that I think that he massively needed to work on, he's done. I do, because I've seen it all fall camp. However, when you're under a relentless amount of pressure, you can revert back to some of the things that you did previously. And that cannot happen. Guys, in the month of October, as an example, against all, well, actually, let's just rewind. Against all the ranked opponents that you played, all of them, guys, you average right at 3 turnovers a game. Right at it. That's not including turnover on downs. If you include the turnover on downs, you average 3.5 turnovers a game. Because to me, a turnover on downs is a turnover, even though it doesn't go down in the box score. You can't give them the ball back. I think Garrett has made the step that we've needed to see him make as a second-year starter. I really, really, really do. There have been points and times for me during camp that I'm like, yeah, that's not really a question for me right now based off of what I've seen him do. You got to go out there and do it. You got to go out there and show that you can do it. And I think that he will. But you cannot turn over the ball the way that you did last year. You just can't do it. You're going to be on the outside looking in. All right. Let's get to some other things here. Those 3, I think we all pretty much talked about all offseason. The number 4 thing for me that I think we must do is I think you got to utilize the middle of the field offensively. I think that Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp, Aaron Anderson, and Caden Durham are more of a bigger deal in this game than the guys on the boundary. Now, they're going to be massive too, and I'm not saying they won't. Guys, when I look at Clemson from a season ago, when I hear Dabo Swinney's press conferences, when I hear their media constantly asking about the safety room, I think it's their biggest weakness. Tom Allen, their DC, was asked 3 questions about this yesterday in reference to, hey, what's been going on at safety? You have some guys that are hurt. You got a lot of brand new guys, a lot of inexperience at safety. Because they may be fine. Those young guys that they recruited, they might be okay. But I am testing that safety room out very early. Are they going to put that safety room in a position that would hinder them in reference to them having to go one-on-one? My real interesting point in my my real interesting thought in this, I don't know if LSU doesn't go to some 12 personnel. Maybe they do to get Bauer and Tradez on the field. I don't know how much that benefits you because I want to see this safety room, like as an example. Why don't you put Chris Hilton in the slot and make one of those safeties guard him and run an inside fade with him? I don't think that safety room's good. Guys, last year they got torched over the middle. Their safeties got absolutely abused in the pass game. Do you schematically, if you're Joe Sloan, do you have something built in from a play call that puts Chris Hilton or Barrion Brown in that slot where they can run an inside fade and go get vertical? Guys, I'm telling you right now, if they're lined up on a safety, it's 6. If you make a good throw and you have the protection, it's going to go for 6. The eye in the sky does not lie on them. They have been really bad. Here's another way I know. Guys, I think Steve Sarkisian's one of the best play callers in all of the game, without a shadow of a doubt. Why did he keep utilizing the middle of the field constantly on Clemson in the playoff game? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he saw it as their biggest weakness. He knew it was their biggest weakness, and he took it to them as their biggest weakness. Guys, they got Gunnar Helm, their tight end, out in space. They use the middle of the field a lot, right? Like, they utilize the middle of the field more than anything. And they were able to take it to Clemson in the pass game with a quarterback that, quite honestly, I just don't believe is that great. I think Garrett is better than Quinn Ewers, clearly. In all of that, they utilize the middle of the field better than anybody. I think that's one way for your success. If you find a situation where you get those tight ends, you get a receiver lined up in a slot, and a safety is coming, guys, it's going to go for 6. It's going to go for 6. They cannot keep up with you from a speed aspect. They can't. They won't. Garrett has got to find that early. He's got to spot it, and he's got to hit it. Their safety room is a liability. It's a liability in the pass game. They've been good and decent in the run game. I mean, they ran away from some guys, and they got run right past. But the bottom line, just God's honest truth is, we've seen them. They got some returners at safety, some guys that were there last year. And I saw their safety room get outrun on the inside vertical route by a tight end that I don't think is a better athlete than Tradez Green. Do you utilize that at all? Will be a question. All right, let's move to some defensive things here. Guys, the number one thing for me defensively in this game and a key to victory, tackling in space. Clemson is going to get the ball out quick. They're going to run mesh routes. They're going to run stick routes. They're going to run quick drags. They're going to run slants. They're going to run hitches. They're going to do everything underneath early in this game like they do every single game. Please, for yourself, go watch any Clemson game the last 3 years. They are predictable as me when a pepperoni pizza gets put right in front of my face. They are predictable. You have got to be elite, not good. You've got to be elite in tackling these really good wide receivers in space. I've seen some of you that have questioned this wide receiver room for Clemson, and I think you're wrong, quite honestly. I think they're very, very good. Which brings me to Deshaun Spears. With A.J. Halsey's absence, number 10, number 4, number 0, and Cooley, and if P.J. Woodland is on that other boundary, guys, it doesn't matter. Whoever is in there on these receivers, you must tackle this really good wide receiver core in space. They're going to test you early in your secondary. they're going to test you all night in your secondary. And they're going to make you tackle in space because they don't think you can do it. They don't. They're not going to deviate too much on how they do things based off of what Garrett Riley wants to do. By the way, you faced an offense just like this a season ago. Blake, what? Guys, Garrett Riley is the brother of Lincoln Riley, and they do the same stuff. They do the same exact stuff. What did they do against you? And before you say that USC did not have good wide receivers, yeah, they did. It's the biggest strength of their team. Yeah, they did. With Lemon and the boys. They have a really good wide receiver room. Tackling and covering in space is going to be a massive deal. How many times in last year's game did you see Lincoln Riley dip a little screen pass off to Zachariah Branch? It happened 3 times. How many times did you see them leak the tight end out and your linebacker room, quite simply, had no idea it was coming? Because how many drag routes did they hit against you? By the way, it was a lot. It's the Coca-Cola version of what you're seeing, though, because I think Cade Klubnik's better than Miller Moss. I think their wide receiver room's better, and I think their offensive line's better. You've got to be freaking really good at tackling these good wide receivers in space. They have been very good against really good corners. Guys, getting separation, guys, they did that against the number 1 corner that came off the board. The number 1 corner that came off the board. So now what? I just took a glance at this Missouri Central Arkansas game, and somebody's down. Sam Horn, their backup quarterback. Oh, man. That stinks. Anyway. All right. Tackling in space. Your safeties in the run game. Guys, I think that they're going to really try to establish the run early on you in some capacity. Dabo has brought up Adam Randall, their converted wide receiver, at 230 pounds. They have brought him up a lot. He has had issues in the past of fumbling the football and injuries. My question for the safety room is, can you come down and make tackles? The safeties in this game are predecessorial at stopping Adam Randall, but mainly in stopping Cade Klubnik. Guys, we saw Klubnik against South Carolina. We saw him against Texas. We saw him against some really good defenses a season ago. Utilize his legs, hit the sideline, and go for 6. Last year, you were abysmal at stopping the quarterback run. And whether it be Adam Randall, whether it be Cade Klubnik, guys, look, does your front 7 need to be big? Yes. But you got to be able to limit what Cade Klubnik does with his legs. You got to be able to limit what Adam Randall does with his legs. Harold Perkins, Deshaun Spears in the first half, and Tamarcus Cooley, the game can hinge on what you do. It can hinge on what you do. Now, this front 7's got to be big too. But I thought the worst thing that you did a season ago defensively was that your interior defensive line got absolutely abused against ranked opponents, and your safeties ran away from contact. They did not know what they were doing. I do not think that you are going to be worse at safety. I don't. I legitimately don't think that you can. I just don't. But, guys, this is Deshaun Spears' first start, really. His first real start. Like, hey, man, you're the dude now. He played in some games. I think he technically started against South Carolina, but didn't start the rest of the season. Spears has got to go. He's got to go. I do not want to see Jordan Gilbert out there. With all due respect to him, I don't want to see him out there. 10 has got to go. What are you made of, kid? What are you made of? Can you stop K. Klubnik? Can you be in a situation where you can save this defense when they do something exotic? But, guys, I know I talk about the safeties in the run game, but the God's honest truth here is, too, what is your front seven? What is your front seven? Because I don't know if Clemson is the team to run the ball all over you. I don't know if that's them. What I do know is that there were moments and times last year that quite simply you got pushed around. You did. Your interior defensive line, your edge room, your linebacker room, guys, quite frankly, you weren't athletic enough. You didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. Your head coach confirmed it, that you didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. Now you feel like you do. There is no more excuse. You feel like you went out in the portal. You feel like there were some guys that you developed from within and that you got better. Sounds great. Go do it. But the safeties and that front seven, guys, you got to make them one-dimensional. You got to make them one-dimensional. Take something away from them. Make sure K. Klubnik can't use his legs. Contain him inside the pocket. Don't let another quarterback run all over you. Don't let him run all over you. You got to get after him. Guys, are you more athletic? Are you better up front? Can those safeties come down and make tackles? Can Deshaun Spears come up and make a couple of tackles that you need him to make? If he does, you're going to win. If you contain them, I'm not going to come in here and assume that you can stop them because I don't know if you can stop them. I think you can contain them. But it's going to be a massive deal. Last but not least, pressuring K. Klubnik. I thought Lawton Swan said it best last night, who covers Clemson for Clemson Sports. He did say it best. When K. Klubnik is put under pressure, guys, he's had a problem with fumbling. This is where Harold Perkins comes in. I think that you can get some rush with your front seven or your defensive line. I do. K. Klubnik can move. And you got to utilize number 7. I keep hearing people saying, take him off the field and they're going to spread us out. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I think number 7 can be a big deal in getting to K. Klubnik. I think pressuring him, I think you're gonna man up with some of these receivers and you're going to give up some big plays. You better get it through your mind right now. You're going to give up big plays. I would rather try to get to him in some situations and get him down on the ground than backing off and being soft. Louisville, Georgia, Texas, South Carolina, what do all of them have in common? Well, they beat Clemson a year ago, but they sent ungodly amount of pressure after K. Klubnik. They hit him all night. And by the way, in the first half, it didn't seem like Klubnik wanted any part of that. He got skittish a little. Credit to him. He came back firing, and he made some big plays. But I think Harold Perkins is a massive key for here for you defensively. You were really good last year statistically in team sacks. But when Braden Swinson wasn't going off, you weren't. I think you have 3-4 guys that you think on the edge that can get to the quarterback consistently. I think that Don McKinley, Bernard Gooden has got to wreak havoc in the interior. I know that this Clemson offensive line has got a lot of guys returning. And a lot of people around the country believe that they are going to be a very good unit. I am not there. I have seen that offensive line get dominated by lesser athletic teams than what you bring in there in that same offensive line. Doesn't mean that they can't get better, but it also doesn't mean that, look, man, that you just can't get to them and maybe they're not the best. I think Walker Parks being injured and not 100%, I am putting Bernard Gooden on him and saying, utilize your speed, get off the ball. If he's not 100%, let's take it to him and find out. But you have got to find a way to get to number 2. Guys, I didn't bring up the DBs here at corner. It can easily be a massive deal. We can come in here on Saturday night and say, hey, listen, that corner room on the boundary just could not hold up. And maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. But I'm expecting for a really good wide receiver core to make plays. But if you can get to K. Klubnik enough and get them behind the chains, I think you'll be able to win this one. All in all, in these keys to victory, I would just say this. You have been a team in the last 3 years in big moments that you've gotten pushed around. Up front on both lines of scrimmage. It's your time to go out there and prove that that's not going to happen again. And if you can prove that it's not, guys, I think you come out of here winning 34-31.